Welcome, everybody, to the Kickstart Invitational Podcast, 2026 edition, where we dive into the soul of the Kickstart Invitational. I'm, of course, your host, Kyle Steffi, alongside Justin and Carter McPhail. In each episode, we'll be bringing you the latest developments, expert analysis, behind-the-scenes interviews, exclusive insights, and the occasional roast of Jake Transit Tricky off the tee box in the Kickstart Invitational. McPhail brothers, how you doing?
Doing pretty well.
I'm doing good.
I'm wondering what Chase is looking at over there.
Trying to put the Wings game on my computer screen. Not working.
Okay. Respect.
Double screen time on the
He's just going. He's just over there going like this.
I got a second monitor. You got to use it for something.
Yeah, I'm putting it on.
Carter would throw up at my triple screen time right now. Partially introduced here, but McPhail cousin goes by the last name of Bierbauer, works for the IRS, is going to deport somebody eventually. And one of my favorite people on the Kickstart trip, Chase Bierbauer. How you doing, Chase?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
It was an absolute no-brainer to have you on this one. It's widely known that Chase is certainly one of, if not one of the biggest, golf course nerd of the trip. And obviously the McPhail brothers, they're studying this shit year round, sunshine or snow. Not so much snow for Carter anymore, but
no, sir. I played golf today.
We're putting together the perfect course at the Kickstart Invitational. A few weeks ago, if we were to ask Preston, this happened a couple months ago, but it was just a couple weeks ago that I was drunk at a bar, and I was like, what's everyone's favorite hole at the Kickstart? And so I texted everybody, and I had no plan for it, was just curious in the moment. And Justin sent me a really long, as requested, romantic message about the hole that he picked. And he was like, well, what did Chase put? What did Carter put? What did Fetty put? And kind of compiled the idea of putting together the perfect course. I think we're excited about this one. The fellas worked hard on putting this together, specifically Justin. Putting some time here. And without further ado, we're just going to get into the courses. Any additional comments before we get rolling, fellas?
Are any of you guys familiar with this idea of a composite course from a trip, or I got the idea from the guys at No Laying Up, of course. They do these sort of composite courses when they go on long trips, Bandon Dunes, Sand Valley, Pinehurst, that sort of thing. They have a few more constraints on it, but I think for us, just going off of everybody's favorite holes will be kind of the best way, and it worked out. Everybody picked enough holes that we could sort of add a couple here or there. Had to add the par threes in there because nobody chose those as their favorites, but we were able to put a full course, par 72 course together. So
now, before we get rolling in this, I did want to ask Chase and Carter, because I don't think either of you know the statistics yet of what everyone picked. And we can start with Carter. Carter, what do you think was the most popular picked hole?
I would say probably 15 at Diamond Springs. I think the guys like that hole. I think they get excited about trying to drive the green. It's probably one of the most played holes on the trip, for sure. Just because we played it twice the first 3 years, so it's in the top 18 most played. Guys remember it. Guys like it. It's pretty much everyone going full force at the green. PK chips in for eagle. I'm sure he probably picked that hole. Coming down the wire in some matches, that hole kind of means a lot usually. So I think guys feel a certain way about that one.
And Chase, I know Justin said that no par threes were picked by any of the fellas. If we were to just ask all the group, their favorite par three in the course, what do you think would be a front runner, and why?
God, maybe 5 at Diamond Springs, which admittedly is my favorite par three, but it's just such a cool green. I think that's up there. Otherwise, Diamond Springs I don't think is great with like the par threes. I think the Mines collectively is probably like the strongest group. So I'd probably pick like maybe 7 there coming down the hill. Probably most fun one there to play. Or 11 on the coming into the back 9 too. That can be fun, but it can also be brutal if you're out of position. So
Arts, any opposition to the par three conversation?
No, Justin asked me about the par threes a couple days ago, and the Mines might have 3 or 4 of the top par threes on the trip. Like they're all, I think, they're all great. They're all different. It's fun playing, the big downhill, shot, big square green flying it by just a sea of bunkers. It's just, fun.
Lion's Mouth Bunker is probably my least favorite one. It's still like a really cool par three.
Oh, well, I say we get into it, Jay. Kind of run us through these courses here.
Yeah, we've got obviously our 4 courses. We've got the Mines, Diamond Springs, Stoughton Bray, and Pilgrim's Run. Um, you know, I would have to agree with you guys. The Mines has what feels like the strongest par threes. Um, Pilgrims has a couple really iconic ones, and then Diamond Springs number 5, like you said, Chase, I think is one of the most insane greens, like not just on the trip, but that any of us probably have ever played. Um, and a lot of holes that got chosen, as we'll get into. Like Carter said, some of the shorter par fours. So the key takeaways and the concepts here that it sounded like Kyle, you and I pulled from everybody's answers to those questions was a lot of it has to do with their past experience, what happened on the holes, what was a memorable shot they hit or their playing partners hit, or just fond memories of what was going on. The strategy is a big one, different options off the tee, or like how to get to the green is a big one that sort of brings together the guys that are the higher handicaps and the lower handicaps. And then the variety, a lot of the players chose par 4 and 5 holes, and the holes that were added by us outside of the favorites we kind of chose so that we could put together a greater variety of like lengths and features, because they did sort of start to center around a couple of the same yardages and sort of like the same kind of ideas off the tee and that sort of stuff. And then a lot of the guys talked about the most difficult holes as being their favorites, as being like perfect holes. And that was a little bit surprising to me. I would have thought that a lot of guys would have just chose holes that they've birdied before or that they have good scores on, but it seemed like a lot of the guys really liked, the holes with big hazards down one side, or like, just a really hard first, tee shot off of like something with hazards on both sides and stuff like that. So that was obviously important to the guys, and you'll see that as we go through here. Here's what the course looks like from the Kickstart tees. Would be 6,094 yards, right where we would want to play from if we were going out and debating whether this course would get added to the rotation. Par 72. It's got 5 par 5s Everybody loves the par fives, a good chance for birdie. We put in 5 par threes so we could get to that par 72 number. And then we've got 8 par fours. 16 guys answered Kyle's question out of the group chat. And there was some overlap, but 12 unique holes were chosen from that. So 5 par three holes added, and we added one of the par fours in on our own so that we could kind of create a realistic scorecard. You guys have any thoughts about this scorecard? Is there anything, obviously you can see the holes. We're previewing the holes there on the left side, but is there anything that stands out to you guys?
Yeah, how did you come up with the handicap index?
I sort of based it off of, there's no math that went into it. I pretty much based it off of how I would think this course would play out as far as the handicap allocations. Generally, they go to the par fives first because scratch golfers shoot better scores or are able to separate themselves from bogey golfers on those holes, and then the par threes last. And then just sort of went through and figured the ones in the middle, which par fours are more difficult than others. If it has a hazard, then it got a lower number. If it didn't have a hazard, it sort of got pushed towards the bottom of those. So um, it's just kind of off feel.
Okay.
So the first hole, of course, mine's number one. It's the start of the trip. Kyle's got the quotes from the guys that chose it, but that pulling up to that tee and having everybody around, and it just has to be the start to our course. It's a conglomeration of the whole trip that we're going through here, and it can't really start anywhere else besides mine's number one.
I mean, endless amount of memories here. I mean, Max said it best. Everyone's around the tee box. Everybody's amped up. Anything from Dan saying he's gonna shoot it right, and he does, to Big Red saying, "Are you guys supposed to be here?" This was also the most picked hole of this exercise. Mac, Preston, and Fetty all chose this as their favorites. Cody or Chase, give me a rundown here. The hole itself. What do you think of it?
I'm not surprised it's the most picked. Probably the only one some of the guys remember, to be fair. Probably helps.
Yeah.
But it's a great opening hole. I think it's kind of lost its intimidation factor for the guys that have played it a couple of times now. First couple of years, I felt like everyone was over the ball and kind of like terrified of blowing it, right, or it looks like those trees on the left are gonna F you up. But you can, I think everyone kind of realized just aim left of the green and you're probably just gonna, you have a ton of room to blow it right if you're over there, or if you hook it, you're just gonna get past those trees and actually kind of within 60 yards of the green running down the hill. But even from there, it's a tough green. It's not an easy par. I would assume our average over the years is still above par on that hole. It's not an easy one, but it's also not the most intimidating hole to start out in as I think people thought it was.
It's all fun and games until we get that back right pin position.
Yeah, they have it on that side.
We got the front left pin position this year, and everyone hit it in the back right anyways.
Yeah, or short right.
At least.
Short right can be tough because you're putting on a fast green back down towards that false front. So.
Yeah, that whole, I think you're absolutely right. Guys have kind of figured out that if they take it semi down that tree line, the tee shot's not nearly as scary. I still personally get pretty nervous, especially because I've been in the first group a couple years in a row now. And I don't know, that just those trees when you're up there with the music playing and everybody standing there watching you, they do seem to start to, creep in just a tiny bit.
That little field goal that Chase is shooting in that picture. I mean, it gets smaller the longer I look at it.
It's tight, man.
I think there's two. I got two things here before we move on.
Yeah.
The first being, I think one piece of this that we're kind of forgetting is last year the tee box was moved up pretty aggressively from the work that they were doing. So I
Yeah.
think we were all pretty solid with our first tee shots, which is all anybody cares about on that that hole. I wonder when we get moved back next year if that confidence that Chase mentioned is going to go away.
I think you're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right. This camera view from here makes it look narrower, far narrower than it looked last year. And last year it even looked pretty narrow to me.
Agreed. The last thing before we move on, we took the composite score from each hole. So whoever picked these holes, we're using their most recent score on that hole to see what the Kickstart shoots at the perfect Kickstart course. Obviously, this one has three people, so Mac texted first. He's getting his score put in for this hole. Preston and Fetty will get plugged in later on. Mac shot a 5 this most recent year on hole 1 at the Mines.
Respectable start.
He lost a hole.
Yeah,
hole.
We're one down. Hole number 2. Pilgrim's Run number 13. Long par 5. Plays downhill. Downhill with the tee shot and then plays a long way uphill, I think, and not as noticeable amount uphill. Like it's almost deceiving how much uphill that is. Um, those bunkers on the left that you can see in the picture from the fairway from your tee shot, they just look like they're right up against the front edge of the green. Like there's no room down there. Um, and I think this was Liam's hole that he laid out for us, wasn't it, Kyle?
It was. And it's one of these holes. It's kind of why, like, the epitome of why I love the Kickstart is that Liam shot a 7 on this hole. I think he was ball in hand before green, even if I remember correctly. Liam, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but it's kind of like it's sweet that he's played this hole once and he just remembered how cool this hole was. And kind of the epitome of the Kickstart is like, you might not have had your best day or your best hole or your best round, whatever, but like you still love it.
Art, strategically, how do you feel? Like, what is your game plan when you make it all the way here to hole number 13 at Pilgrims?
I'm shipping it.
Yeah.
I want to say last year I like absolutely just toe bang sliced it in the forest and dropped and then had to hit just like a hammer forward through the trees and try to somehow make a par. Because even like your second shot, like you can't, I don't know how far up the tee has to get for, even me to get there in 2.
Yeah, it would have to
Like
be a long drive and a long 3-wood way up the
even
hill.
that, if I'm remembering it right, like that, even that green, like you can't even see it from the fairway for your third. Like
Yeah,
you're
not
hitting
quite.
hitting almost straight up the hill. You don't know where the green stops. Like it's
It
just one
looks
of
like
those.
it's 5 yards deep, and then you get
Yeah,
up there, there's a ton
Yeah.
of room, but it's incredibly deceiving, especially like if you're coming up from that left side, kind of anywhere behind around those bunkers, instead of coming up the right, the angle, it just looks awful.
yeah. It plays fine for me as a left-handed player that fades the golf ball. Um, I found that once I get into if I get it in the fairway, I can send it up there pretty much as far as I can. But man, like that's a hole where I get there and I'm like, I have to get this in the fairway because then I can get it way up there, and I feel like my distance on my golf ball helps me. Um, but it's also I feel like usually a hole where I'm giving up a dot as well.
And sneaky off the tee, you want to cut that corner, but there's that sneaky little bunker right on that corner there. And if I had $1 for every time I was in it, I'd have $2.
Yeah, that's that bunker is right there on the corner, and the reason you want to play down the left is because that whole fairway slopes from left to right. Um, it's called reverse camber, but the whole dog legs to the left, but it slopes to the right. Really makes you want to play really finely down the left, and like Carter's saying, you really want to get it in the fairway, but you also want to hit it as far as possible. So even though the fairway looks super wide, you want to thread it all the way up there as far as you can. Um, it makes for a really exciting shot, and then the hole's only just begun from there.
Absolutely. And like I said before, Liam did shoot a 7. He still beat my ass that round, so this isn't me putting him on blast totally. But Liam's
His
got a
time's
7
coming.
for the
Yeah,
composite score.
that can become a theme on this podcast. Hole number 3. We went with Stoughton Bray number 8. So this is the par 4 that we added in, and I'm gonna keep saying we throughout this podcast, but I pretty much put this together 100% on my own. Um, this to me is one of the best short par 4s on the trip. I know we're kind of blessed with 4 courses that have some really good ones, but um, this one is really, really good in my opinion. We played into a really strong wind last year, so it wasn't really like a drivable hole. But if you get one down there in the fairway, sort of the closer you get to the green, almost a little more challenging it becomes to try to stop your ball on what's a really tiny, tiny green up there. And it gives you as much room as you want, sort of left and right, but the angle's a lot better if you can keep it down the right, as you can see, sort of playing closer to those bunkers, so you get to hit into the green, sort of like the deepest front to back. Um, this is also where Cullen found Parker's putter and had to run it back to him the entire length of this hole and hole number 9 almost. Sort
This
of
is a
met
par
him
5.
like, yeah, a par 5, about 150 yards from the green. He finally caught up to him, and then had to run all the way back and hit his first putt. So I just think it's a really good short hole, and then going sort of medium length par 4, and then a really long par 5, and then a short par 4. Sort of, it would be a really nice opening 3 holes to a round.
I agree. In our fabled practice round, I hammered it way up there into the tall grass, stomped around in there to find it, and then just took a hack to try to get it out, hit it back, landed it around the hole, and just trundled down off the cereal bowl. And the journey was not over. Was chipping again from there.
Yeah, super steep around there. This picture that I stole from a Golf Now website shows the slope pretty good with those shadows.
I think it's a good time to even bring up as well because we haven't really talked about it on the pod post trip. But like Chase, what were your overall thoughts on Stoughton Bray? I can't remember if you said you'd played it before, but
I
what'd
had
you think of
not.
the course?
No, I had not played it. I enjoyed it. Like, I mean, didn't play well, and we were in like a super tight match, so I can't say enjoyed the experience the most out of all of them. But
The
the course was
slowest round in Kickstart history.
What'd you say?
The slowest round in Kickstart
Oh,
history.
for sure. We were, I think we were 2.5 holes behind at one point. That was cool.
We were on
But
15 green and all the other groups were done.
We know.
Yeah, well, we
I
got a
think-
whole point. Shove it.
I think it was 16 green, but I do remember looking back and not being able to see you guys anywhere.
Yeah. But the course itself, like, it was cool with everyone out there. It's wide open. You can kind of see most of the people around you. Kind of a cool weather experience. Like, we've had such great weather pretty much every round that we kind of had our British Open style, windy, rainy day out there, which fit the course. And it was by no means easy, but it was gettable if you were on. But if you're off, it was this whole. For example, I think two of the four guys in our group were up close and then kind of ping ponged it around. Like Carter said, that the contours around the edges of the green is so severe that if you missed by a little bit, you could be kind of screwed. Which I think, to Justin's point, is what makes it great. It's 316. It's gettable for some of the guys, but then if you don't get it, it's not an easy save by any means.
For some guys, it was. And for our composite score, carrying over Preston from Mines 1, our old man shot a birdie, got a 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Lugging that bag, he wasn't out of gas.
They were giving it to the guys they were playing against. That match was over early, and I think if we didn't have a low net individual, they probably would have been able to walk in, a long time before making it through the entire course. Hole number 4, the fourth one on our composite routing here is going to be the 15th hole at Pilgrim's Run. We'd talk about it like the volcano hole is the 3-tiered green. That big swale moving through the center of the green. I've seen some guys hit it in there. I think if it happens, probably hole in one, really, really likely right here on number 15 at Pilgrims. You got to pull up your big boy pants and hit just a really good shot at this point in the round, especially during singles when you need that point. You got to win some late holes, and it takes a really, really good shot to win a hole on a par 3, and this is a big one to do it on.
Chase, tell me I'm crazy. This is my best impression of ESPN First Take. Is this the most important hole to hit green on the Kickstart trip?
I think you could maybe make that argument, just because I was just thinking too before you said that those last 4 holes pretty much they all have one shot where if you don't execute on that one shot, you kind of are out of the hole right away. And I think here, like, it's gettable if you get on the right tier, but otherwise it's just kind of the further offline you are, the worse and worse it's going to get for you. Like if you're on the outside of that bunker coming off a downslope, that's hard. If you're outside of the bunkers, you're so far below the green, having carry a bunker, stop it on the green on time with the bunker behind it if you mess up. So it's incredibly penal if you are off from the tee. And if the other guy, if you're in a tight match and you blow it into a bad spot or outside of one of those bunkers and the other guy's on the green, there's not a lot of wiggle room to get yourself back in it. So in a close match, down 1 after 15 is something, but down 2 is pretty much statistically, I would say, a death sentence. So
I remember last year, I believe this is the whole Parker closed out Tricky. After Trick kind of played a little bit of ping pong. And I want to say I got it up and down from between the bunkers up there on the left to win a hole against Cody and essentially keep the hopes of the comeback alive. They would not come to fruition. This is a big boy hole. I know when I talked to my brother about the par 3s, like some of these later in the rounds par 3s kept popping up for me because it's like this is where you have to stand in there and hit a good one.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a little bit of worry that maybe this hole just doesn't hit as hard if it were hole 4. Um, but I think it's such a good hole on its own that it probably still does. So that's why it's here early on in the round.
It's so
So,
severe with like the elevation change and just even the elevation change, from the middle of the green to like down by that cart path. It's
mhm.
crazy. So it really is like I think it would stand out anywhere just because it is such a severe looking green complex.
Yeah, for sure. Hole number 5. Mine's number 9. This is sort of one of our medium length par fours here. Huge elevation drop from the tee down to the fairway with this giant dune up the right with all that native grass and the trees and stuff. And it sort of just pushes your eye down the left side of the combined fairway. And I think that's sort of like it sort of lulls you into this false sense of security because when you play down the left, you run out of fairway actually really fast, and then you can get blocked out by that tree that you see there, like that's about 60 yards short of the green. Um, and the green itself is really severe. I think you don't realize it standing back from the tee, or obviously the straight down look doesn't give you much to go off of, but if you hit a really good shot in there, it gets rewarded. And if you hit just a sort of semi okay one, it can really get expelled off the green and into one of those deep bunkers or into some of that scraggly rough around the green, and just turns into a really tough hole if you don't sort of pick out a spot and hit for it.
That bunker short left too, like you're saying. I mean, almost every time I play it, I end up coming in from the left side just because
Yeah.
it's the more comfortable tee shot. But it's, I think it's a way worse angle with that tree, and then also that bunker there just seems to sit a little higher. So if you're coming in from the left, even if you're down there like 70 yards out, it's pretty
Mhm.
much completely blind to the green.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't see
it's
it
a
at
little
all.
bit raised up right there, and I feel like both of those front bunkers too, the faces, like the sand is pushed so high up the face, they just stick out like these big scary targets right there in the front of the
Mm.
green. It makes that little area between the bunkers look so narrow, even though the green's probably 40, 50 feet deep. It looks so narrow because it's raised up and pretty scary. This one was Esther's favorite hole, and um, you can see his quote there on the screen. He likes it both for his past success and for what comes shortly after.
And I think it is. He says. I mean, he said it like sexy tee shot heading back to the clubhouse with the new addition of the restaurant. Like that adds to it.
Yeah, it looks
Um,
so good.
it does. And I don't know if you guys have actually gotten the chance to like eat there or have a drink there. I'd love to post around this year. That patio is so fun to just sit there and watch the golfers come into nine. Really good time.
Yeah,
Um,
low key, fuck the pit. We can just go have some beers and watch a bunch of people tee off on 5 and hit shots into 9. Yeah.
Another piece I don't think the course architect necessarily had in mind, but if you do top your tee shot, there is a pretty big, kind of pit right in between the fairway and the tee. Dangerous place to start your hole there.
Yeah. Scary stuff.
Um, Esser had his most recent score on that hole was a 3. He birdied that one.
Yeah,
Might
he's
add
killing
to,
it.
might add to his preferences there. I did want to also note Fetty's most recent score on that par 3 at Pilgrims was a 4.
Hey, not bad. Not
Probably a
bad.
4 for 3.
We were with him, Kyle. I think I remember him hitting it, you know, just maybe just to the right of the green and chipping it up to, you know, makeable distance and just not getting it done. But um No, it's a respectable score. We're doing all right as a squad.
We're rolling.
Where are we
Hole
going
number
next?
6. Pilgrim's Run number 6. A couple of guys chose this as their favorite hole. You know, it's one of the most picturesque, I think, on the whole trip. You pull up, Dan really described it really nicely. You know, you drive through the trees from 5 to 6 and you break through that tree line at the top of the hill and you look down at one of the widest fairways on the course and your eyes just immediately drawn to that big bunker that feels like it's right in the middle of the fairway. It sort of messes with my depth perception. I don't know about you guys, but that bunker, it doesn't matter how far like anybody in my group hits it. I feel like it's just in everybody's landing zone somehow. And then you have that huge uphill swooping to the left slope that goes up to that skinny little green up there. It's just it's such a beautiful hole visually, and then you know if you hit your spots, you can really score on it. You can make some really small numbers, and then if you get out of position, you can make some really big ones.
Yeah, the bunker looks way more prominent from the tee than it looks like it would on that picture on the overhead shot on the left there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember 2 years ago my singles match against you, Chase. I hit it right at that bunker, and I was calling for it to go, and it flew it by 20 or 30 yards. And Chase goes, "Shut up about the go." And then last year Jake Transit hit it, into the right rough, and he tried to hit a little punch shot, and those two trees up there where you can see the cart path turning, it hit the tree on the left, hit the tree on the right, hit the tree on the left, and went back into the fairway. It was the most insane golf ball. Hit it goes back into the fairway. It was an unbelievable shot.
Would any of you guys say, I won't say the hardest, but maybe a top 3 hardest second shot on the trip?
I
don't
would
see that
say
many people take it on. I think I know Carter did in our match.
mhm.
Most guys are still laying up to their right up there because it is so visually intimidating. So yes, I mean it would be, but I haven't seen that many guys try it.
I
No,
would
I don't think
say
so.
if this played from a more forward tee, like if it was around like 410 yards and you told guys that it was a par 4, so like they felt the need to go for it, yes, that hitting a long iron into this super elevated, like really narrow green would probably be one of the hardest second shots, but there's so few guys I think that take it on, even though it's on the scorecard, it's only like 460. They just don't. There's just not that many guys that try to rip a 5 iron way up that hill or an even longer club way up that hill over those bunkers to such a narrow green.
Yeah, I know
I've, I've
I didn't get a chance to go for it last year. I had to play it up and try to make it for the hard way.
Yeah, I played it up semi close to the green, I feel like, but out to the right kind of, and you know, just a I
It's
don't know,
still
it's
kind of a blind shot from over there too.
yeah.
It's not even an easy third if you do lay up. You
Yeah,
got a lot of room
until
to
you
lay
get
up, but you really got to take on those bunkers to take the kind of the bite out of the third shot.
right. Right. Cullen kind of got into that into his on his quote up there, but um yeah, it's none of the shots really are easy. Kyle, as you know, not to put you down here, but as one of the shorter hitters on the trip, does that bunker still from the tee, does that still draw your eye or are you able to just kind of look out, away from it and play to your
Yes.
sort of yardage?
So my thought process on this whole, assuming all goes well, which has happened only once in my life. Um, is I don't view that first bunker being there. I'll hit the driver, hope it goes straight. If it ends up in that bunker, I was still laying up that second shot anyways, and
Fair.
kind of still going for bogey on this hole either way. So like, even if I'm just chipping it out, I'd like to try and get it out a little distance. But even if I'm just chipping it out, I still got two shots to the green and ideally two putts. So that
Yeah.
bunker's not the one that scares the life out of me. It's the ones up by the green that I've lived in before that
Sure.
are much more difficult. It's daunting seeing that you're in a bunker and you have to clear another bunker, maybe another two bunkers to get to the green. So those ones are
Yeah,
the tougher ones for me.
that makes sense.
I'll tell you what, you hit in the lip of that fairway bunker, in the very front lip, makes that hole real hard.
Especially given a dot. I think this is a big dot hole. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's
No, I
not,
think
but
you're right about that. It is a dot hole.
yeah, typically.
Dan's most recent score was 6, so if he had a dot, that par.
Nice. Hell yeah, Dan. Um, let's go next to personally my favorite par three. Um, I think my favorite par three from the trip, our hole number 7 here is gonna be mine's hole number 8. You know, hole number 7 at the mines gets a lot of love. Spoiler alert, it didn't make the list. Okay. It's beautiful, straight downhill. Um, but it's in a tough weight class, all right. The par threes on this trip are all really, really good. Um, and this one's got just an insane green, like almost on the same level as number 5 at Diamond Springs that we were talking about earlier. We had the pin sort of like, I want to say it was like middle slash front right this year, and it was like on this tiny, tiny shelf that's on the front right corner, and everything funnels way over to the front left, makes for such hard putts. But if you get the pin in the very back of the green, you end up with almost this sort of funnel. Anything that gets, past the middle of the green will funnel down and sort of run back towards the hole. So I think it's just one that, again, from the tee is semi-blind and just visually just really, it's cut into that dune and just looks really, really good. Like, like there should have been a golf hole there from the time that they were mining out whatever they were mining out of there. But I think it's a really good par three, and I think it makes sense in this spot in the round for our composite course.
I think if the tee was like up, 20 feet higher in the air or something, you could see everything that was going on at the green. It would be a lot of people's favorite because it is such a cool like green complex, but you can't really like see what's going on until you get up there. And then once you're up there, it is so like chopped up, like Justin was saying, you kind of don't pay attention to like the rest of it unless you've played it, a number of times.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit tricky too. I've played it, I don't know how many times we've played it together, Chase, 30, 40 times.
Oh yeah,
And still standing on that tee when you're looking at the pin, you want to just hit right at it because
yeah.
from the tee everything looks flattened out, and then if you get it just barely on the wrong side of a slope, and all of a sudden you can't make your ball stop. Like it's it's on the ground, and all you want to do is get it to stop rolling, and it just won't. It just goes and goes and goes wherever you don't want it to be going.
I hadn't seen it really with the pin that far forward as it was this year.
Yeah.
And that false front is brutal because it just rips all the way back down that hill. Half of our group was all the way back down, pretty much to where it transitions back into sand at the bottom of that like run up.
Yeah, it won't even stop in the fairway right there. It's so steep.
You guys ever 5-putt before?
I probably was pretty close this
Probably.
day. I think you guys
At number 1 at Kingsley Club, I did.
Yeah.
I 5-putt on this most recent year. It was humiliating. Never done that before.
It's not
Never
like you're
would
not
do it again.
trying either.
No, it was brutal. Sorry again, Trick, for that. One valuable lesson I did learn on this hole. Trick had a pretty sweet, I don't even know how long it was, 40, 50-foot putt 2 years ago. We left the pin in, and it just shot off. I mean, if the pin was not in still, it goes in. Just barely. The pin was just tilted enough, it rolled out. And so since then, I pull every pin because of that shot. And I think about it every time I pull the pin.
That's
Oh, yeah.
awesome. Hole 8 on our list here, I think, was the hole that Carter nominated. Diamond Springs number 11. It's the logo. It is the twin trees, those centerline trees. You have to play around. They're right in front of you. It looks like from the tee. These aerials from Google Earth are so interesting to me because this hole always looked like it was like a 45-degree dog leg. It's just so slight left to right on this overhead. Those trees are just absolutely perfectly positioned for me off the tee, and I imagine for a lot of us right off the tee, and some of us right where your ball's going to leave on your second shot. Carter, maybe you can talk about the strategy of this hole, kind of walk us through why you think it was a perfect hole.
I just try to hit the trees. There's something about the centerline tree that just gets me going. I like the challenge of it. In Kickstart 3, I shipped it all the way up there and skirted them, just barely, and got in the fairway. And then, round 2, my ball hit the tree on the right in the air and shot straight into the heather. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I have no control over what the ball does when it gets there. I'm just going to take it on now and hope for the best. Because like the reality is my ball is probably 15, 20 feet in the air on the way down when it gets there, to where if it hits trunk, good luck, Chuck. I refuse to lay it up and try to hit it around them on the next shot because I want it, usually I'm giving up a dot on this hole. I have to try to make a 4. So I aim right at him and try to hit him.
Chase, would this be a top 3 most difficult second shot on the course or on the trip?
If you're behind those trees, for sure. I think Carter's exactly right. You just gotta, and look at this aerial too. Like, it's not just the 2 trees in the fairway; they're between 2 other trees on each side.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like working through an offensive line or something. You're kind of trying just to find a hole and hope it gets through. But once you're through, it's not the toughest hole. But if you got to compete with those trees and then kind of that bunkering around there, the second shot's not easy if you tried to play it safe on the first, which I think is true for a lot of Diamond Springs. I think that's why it's so great. But
this is your key mark credit card hole right here. You're gonna make that payment. You're gonna make that payment on the first of the month, or you're gonna wait till the second.
Yeah, you can wait till the first. You can wait till the 15th, but by the time you make it to due date up there by the green, and this green is huge. Like, this is one of the biggest greens that we play, and is this spine that runs right through the middle over that tiny pot bunker and sort of separates it into 2 or 3 sections. And hitting a wedge shot in there isn't the easiest. I think hitting your second shot with that, whatever that little like long skinny bunker is. I don't know if they just dropped the mower too low one day and sort of scalped it right there and just wore it out, but whatever shape grew in right there is like exactly where you would want to lay up your second shot if you were playing around the trees.
That's what
And
I was
it's
gonna say.
just
It's like looking at the overhead, those kind of two bunkers, 80 yards out, look like they should just be so inconsequential. But I think every time we play there, I see someone in one of those two. They're just in the perfect spot. Like if, like Justin said, if you are playing away from those trees, like you kind of have to keep it low, and most guys are gonna like try and run it up there. And it seems like once or every year there's a guy in that every time we play it.
somebody gets snatched by that, and it is a bad place to be because that's such a hard wedge shot after that from there too.
So on the last hole, that par three Mines, Cullen most recently had a 4. He did not 5-putt that hole.
No,
Karts, do you remember what you most recently shot on Diamond Springs 11, which is the 8th hole of this composite course?
I think I made a 5 or a 6.
You made a 5.
Yeah, I want to say I hammered it up there, past them, and then hit it over the green, and got into a little bit of a chip skerdoodle
easy to do.
situation.
Easy to do for sure.
I wasn't hitting my driver great last year, so it got squirrely off the tee. I had to play some of these holes from different places that I don't usually do.
Well, where'd you play this hole from? This is hole 9 on our course, but this is Diamond Springs number 18. I think it's a good spot in the routing for this, closing out a 9. The ravine on the right is just brings so much consequence to close out a 9, and there's some really good pictures here from Andy Johnson at the Fried Egg of these couple holes on the right, just showing how severe that drop off is. I think a couple times I'm standing on the tee or up by the green and looking back at guys in the other groups, like peering over the edge, looking for where their ball just went to, and I'm just hoping they don't try to take a step down there because that thing it's covered by that long grass, and it is just so steep underneath. I can just picture just Liam or Cody or somebody taking one step into that long grass and then just never seeing him again.
I mean, Cody kind of said it perfect, and before we decided to do this exercise, I was kind of like thinking that this was my favorite hole as well, but uh, you got to take it on at some point, whether you're safe your first shot and go left, but then you have a pretty daunting second shot with the ravine right and the hill left, or you take it on early and you get rewarded with what should be an easier second shot. Um, I'm also just an absolute sucker for the holes that we can just all sit and watch, and this is one of
Yeah.
them.
This is feels like a stadium hole. The green snaky has a lot of slope, so like on your tee shot, if you play it down the left, then you're playing like straight across that slope instead of getting kind of to hit into it. So if you have like any sort of like semi longer club like a 9 or a 8 iron, just can hit that green and just roll and roll over towards number 9 green. And yeah, it's just parking up on the cart path and walking down to a place where you can sit and finish off a beer while everybody else is coming in is such a nice thing to have.
And like off the tee too, you can't even go that far left. I mean, look at that kind of top right view. It's not that wide open up there. You got a little bit of a hill and then OB, so you can't even be like kind of carelessly
Yeah.
blowing it left. I think I've seen not quite as many, but a number of guys blowing it OB left, trying to avoid going right.
I
Yeah.
don't think I've hit anything more than a 4 iron or hybrid
Yeah,
off this
Yeah.
tee.
I think that little bump on the left side gives an exponential amount of false confidence right in that landing zone there.
Yeah, I think last year, I think our match must have been over. I just remember it's actually a sneaky short hole. It's only 319. And I remember just thinking like, why have I never thought about just hitting driver here and trying to hit it, into that little narrow part and you can pretty much probably run one up onto the green. Well, the reason that you don't hit driver there is because if you miss the fairway by 1 foot, it's gone. that you have a 40-foot cliff that you now have to drop from, because if you miss by a foot, you have no chance.
I made a birdie on this hole my last round. I do remember. I don't remember if I chipped it in or putted it in. I feel like this has been the site of multiple FU matches between me and Preston. Because
Preston plays this course nicely.
which I don't know what it is about me coming up the last hole. Everyone's sitting around and just deciding that's the guy I'm going to bark at right now. But I do remember making a birdie and being like, yeah, get fucked, guys. I got my shit pounded in today, but I'm still here.
One of my favorite quotes from this exercise, this was Cody's hole, I think we said before, and he said, it's like trying to read the signs on the first date with your girl, and it tempts you to take the risk. Cody shot a 6 on this most recently.
Yeah. He hit it in the ravine also. And just remember us just both standing there like, well, this was fun.
Hopefully the first date went better for him than that. So
yeah, hopefully. Hopefully the 18th hole was nicer to him on the first day. We're at the halfway point here. I want to sneak another question in. What's the best like halfway house, halfway point place to get a little snack and something to eat out of the 4 courses?
Diamond Springs, when it might just be from watching Carter fuck up a sandwich order so bad.
Unlucky. The Diamond Springs one's great, especially back when 2 years ago when we had the doubleheader and getting to sit in there and try to order, a club sandwich with bacon only. The Stone Bray one is great. Obviously, I don't know if we got the full experience when we played our Kickstart round in the practice round. It was awesome. It was a terrible hot dog that had been there too long, but it was an awesome experience going in the bunker. I feel like the Mines is got to be the best one going in there. Just the food's good. You get just the largest mellow yellow you've ever seen at a golf course.
Styrofoam cups there, right? At the Mines. Am I right? That's a huge
yes.
one for me. Those are so good.
Gotta have the styrofoam. I'm with Chase. I like the Diamond Springs halfway house the most as well.
It's a good spot, right? It's right by the 10th tee. It's got nice parking. I like that one as
$1.50
well.
random beer machine.
Oh yeah.
That is tough to beat. We got to get after that again this year.
Maybe one of the few categories that Pilgrims seems to be, pretty confidently dead last. Is that fair to say?
I agree.
They have that great outdoor one though. I don't think we're giving that enough credit too.
I've never seen it open.
Oh, no way. It was open last year.
Yeah, it was open last year.
Unlucky.
I've never played Pilgrims Run.
Then you won't know this next hole.
Yeah, you're not gonna recognize this one. Well, actually, the guy who nominated this one might not recognize this one. This is Pilgrim's Run number 5. Sleepy Temptation. Is that what he
That's what Pilgrims calls it.
That's what Pilgrims calls it.
Hold on. This has got to be 3. That's our branch holdout.
Yeah, well, so we can read his quote because he describes well, I think he has these merged together in his mind, but I'll let Nate take it away. Kyle, would you mind reading Nate's description here for us of hole number 5 where Branch did not hole out?
And it's tough because Nate put real thought into this. This was one of the better answers. 5th hole, Pilgrims, aka Sleepy Temptation. Not loud or dramatic. It's a gentle dogleg left with a big welcoming fairway that kind of lulls you into relaxing. The green sits up just enough to where you have to trust the yardage. Nothing fancy, just a hole that rewards you committing to the shot. The reason it's perfect is the memory. I played with Branch, and it was just pure golf trip vibes, sun out, jokes flying, no stress, nobody thinking about work. Branch had about 100 yards in, took this smooth little swing. We watched the ball hop once and disappear. Eagle out of nowhere. I jumped into the cart. We chest bumped in the middle of the fairway. Makes zero sense why anyone else, but in that moment, it makes zero sense anywhere else, but in that moment, it was perfect. Not because of the design, even though it is great, but because it gave us one of those golf trip moments you'll never forget.
So Chase, you were in the group, is that correct?
Yeah, I was playing Branch, and it was the one hole I had a dot on.
So the one hole that you had, you had a dot on was which hole?
3.
Was hole number 3.
Number 3.
Which is not what Nate described. So I don't want to like insult the guy or bash on him for this because this is a really nice memory that he has, but it definitely occurred on a different hole than he's just described and laid out.
I don't think
we're
it's
gonna
too far
count
left.
it.
It's still kind of a dog leg left.
Yeah, it's sort of, they are super similar, and I think when we were
Less
discussing it in the group chat about a month ago, I also would have had these flipped probably in my mind if it weren't for the two greens are very different, but they're
Yeah.
both similar yardages, and so on the scorecard we have this as Pilgrim's Run number 3, 386 yards, and yeah, we're gonna call it Pilgrim's 3, but Nate, thanks for that great memory that you described to us, because that was one of the better answers for sure.
And Nate did shoot a 4 on this. He did par it.
Yeah.
I
Well
can't
done.
remember if I looked up if he parred 5 or 3, but we'll give him par either way.
Either way.
I
Might
don't
have
remember either of these 2 holes.
I was just gonna say, I'm certain that Nate is not the only one that doesn't remember for sure,
Yeah.
because I know Carter doesn't, and I'm certain Cullen doesn't.
And look, it's a really nice medium length par 4, same that we started the front 9 with, and it fits nicely into our composite routing. So thanks for that, Nate. Hole number 11, a par 3. This one's a banger. Diamond Springs number 5.
Develop.
We haven't developed. We have not been blessed to have the whole location shown in this picture. I think from when these pictures were taken to the last time that we played it, that shelf has gone from about 5 feet wide to about 3.5 feet wide back there. So we're probably not going to get the pin up there, but it is, a pretty intense green, and it could play. How long does it play to back there, Chase? Around like 180 or more?
Like 195.
Yeah.
And then you got
I think
nothing to stop it.
yeah, there's nothing to stop it. And when we had it in the front, sort of like front left portion a couple years ago, it played like 139 or something like that.
135, yeah.
And last year it played like 150 in the middle right section, sort of in that bowl. And so I think it's an amazing par 3. I've got a quote here potentially paraphrased from somebody. It says 5 might be the best green I've. One moment. 5 might be the best green I've ever played. It would be the best green at Kingsley. It would be the best green at Pinehurst number 2. But by the time you get there, it's already not even the best green you played that day. So I think as far as par threes go, this is, the greens obviously will make them stand out from the other ones. And this is one that, is, and it yields a lot of birdies. We had a bunch of birdies on it last year, which is super cool for guys to get it up and down from the tee.
Chase, do you remember 2 years ago playing with me, Mac, and Kyle three putting from inside mine and Brendan's balls?
Yeah, and we had a hole out on the same hole too.
We did?
Up the right of the green, yeah.
From Mac?
No.
From you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Off to the right in that.
I played with
flat
Kyle both rounds at Diamond Springs that year, and he hit it in the exact same spot both rounds. And the second round, me and Brendan hit it like, I mean, if Kyle had 15 feet, I had 20 feet, and Brendan had 25 feet, and our 3 balls in the hole were in a perfect parallel line. Kyle got 2 absolute perfect looks at it and still 3-putted for par.
Unlucky.
It was also the scene of it was also the scene of Brendan sculling it into the weeds there. And after about 3 seconds, I hit the good old fashioned develop, and Chase was laughing for 4 minutes in a row.
I recall last year a couple of us hitting it quite close in there, and Colin having it almost to that back shelf, still kind of on the downslope and just draining like a 30-footer right on top of us. I had like a 4-footer left that went from being, an easy tap in sort of to win the hole to I'm shaking over it to make sure we don't lose the hole. So it's just, yeah, cool greens. I mean, cool stuff happens. And
it's like 3 really cool green shapes just mashed together.
yeah, they just put them all in one place.
And it's sick. They all work perfectly together too on this one.
Blind center line pond to look forward to on the next hole too. But on our composite course, hole number 12 is mine's hole number 5. It's a brute. You got the out of bounds down the right, O'Brien Street, way down there, goes all the way from the tee to the green. Really makes this hole feel super narrow in the middle section, even though off the tee you have that double fairway again, like we talked about on mine's number 9. If you want to get there in 2, you have to absolutely nuke one up the right to like the narrowest part of the hole. And the green's sort of like super flat actually. I don't think that we give it a lot of credit for it sort of matching up with the hole being so extreme to have the green sort of subtle like that, but I think it's a really nice touch. Once you finally do make it to the green, you sort of get a little bit of a break.
Lefty Slicer's dream is this hole. Shout out Fetty.
Never have to worry.
Ask Jake Transit about his first lap at the Kickstart here. I mean, you don't even have the image is cut where he hit his golf ball from for his second and third shot. The only hole on the course, he's given me a dot, and I hit it right down the middle, right to the front of the green, chipped it on, and putted it in for 4. And I don't know if he even got his putter out. He
Poor
went
guy.
ravine to ravine and just called it.
I think Dan played this hole. Dan's also sort of like a lefty slicer, but he did sort of crank one down the right side in the right rough, and From there, it's hard for him to keep the ball going to the right. So he sort of got stuck with his ball turning left like NASCAR and couldn't get it back.
Those trees on the right side are tough too.
Yeah.
That fence don't move. I'll tell you what.
Oh, she's sturdy.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This was Joey's hole. He parred it this most
Well
recent
done.
year.
Well done, Joe. Moving on. Hole 13, Stoughton Bray number 2. Long par 3. Sneaky one, I think. I think when we think back to the par 3s at Stoughton, you think of number 14 or number 11, those downhill holes back there on the hill. But I think, well, first of all, we picked this one because it's a long par 3. We didn't really have one of those yet. And but it plays actually kind of short. Everybody in my group last year for sure was able to land it sort of in the middle front of the green, and then you just watch them keep rolling and rolling and rolling. You look at it looks from the tee like this green's really flat, but it's actually sloped pretty severe from front to back. And then when you get up there, it's subtle also because we're standing in the back of the green, putting back up this big slope, and uh, we all struggled to get the ball even close to the hole. It's so steep.
I think this is one of those at Stoughton that I immediately wanted to play again, just because you kind of like get it once you've seen the green, and it's one of those you could play it like 8 different ways,
You really
just trying
could.
to get depending on where the pin is, and it'd be fun just to like set up on that one for an hour and try them out. But
Yeah, when I think of this hole, it reminds me that Stoughton Bray there ain't no warm up.
No,
Pretty
no,
much
let's get right in it.
blind off 1 and damn near blind off 2. It's like, get your fists up, son. You're gonna have to hit it and go get it.
Especially walking that day too. Like, I think everybody was still in a little bit of shock, like that I wasn't lying to them about not there not being carts. Like we showed up and the lights are off in the pro shop, that the carts are not out for us to get loaded up on. All of a sudden it starts drizzling a little bit. You know, we're sort of in fight or flight mode, and then you get to the second hole and it's a 200 plus yard par 3 that you got to rip some sort of long club into. Um,
Into the
yeah, just
wind this day
yeah,
also.
get you on your toes.
Last hole on the of Stoughton Bray on the composite course here. I don't know if we'll do this exercise next year, or if it's just maybe a quicker conversation in general. But I do wonder if we'll have more Stoughton Bray next year. Getting everybody to play it for most of a second time. Getting to use the carts. Hopefully, it won't be a rainy day. I'm excited for our next trip to Stoughton.
I'm excited for our next
When I thought
next trip
about when
too.
I got the text and thought about the list, I didn't even consider Stoughton Bray.
I think, and you've played it twice.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it's like Chase said, it's gonna continue to grow on people as you play it more and more and start sort of unlocking it. Um, you can see glimpses of number 17, which was another par 3 that I considered putting in here. Um, it's tiny little like sort of postage stamp looking. I mean, it looks tiny from these pictures. Once I was actually up there, it's way bigger, but I think it's got some really good holes that, people just don't think of because they've really only played them once or maybe twice.
Yeah. I
Carter's
think
wearing the Arcadia South shirt, and to me, it kind of feels like a compressed version of that. And like, I don't think it's as good as Arcadia South, but it's kind of got that same. There's not a ton going on the land itself.
Yeah.
Like you have Diamond Springs has this crazy ravine, and Mines has all this undulation. Pilgrims has like, all those elevation changes in the trees. Then this is kind of like just kind of land between two power lines. But the greens are so interesting that like it keeps you engaged the entire time. And I think as people figure out, like this hole's a great example. If you kind of figure out one year like a sneaky way to run one back there, I think it's one of those ones that guys will really start to like.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you got to build up some scar tissue with these places and, gain some experience, not just in how to play them, but just seeing everybody else play them and their reactions and all of that. And I think that definitely was odds stacked against Stoughton Bray. So, um,
I know Liam left the Kickstart saying Stoughton was likely his favorite. I don't know if that's changed in memory, but I know Liam loved it.
that's
When we
exciting.
when we talked about the expansion, Chase said like Stoughton Bray it was basically the only course we had talked about where he said it has the potential to be someone's favorite on the course. And I think, by Kickstart 7 or 8, there's going to be guys whose favorite course is Stoughton Bray.
I think you're absolutely right.
Because
I
if
think it's as soon as next year,
the
you can
way we
start to
played
gain
it
some momentum.
in the practice round in the sunshine and like no clouds with carts and like the atmosphere of it being there, not in the shit, I gotta carry my bag again and it's raining. Like it was sick.
Yeah. Pretty excited about that. We'll go to the next hole at what I would say is the consensus favorite course from the rest of the guys on the trip, and that's Pilgrim's Run. Our hole number 14 is going to be Pilgrim's Run, hole number 16. And this was the one that Tricky nominated, and I think his reasoning is really, really good. You really can't hide from it at this point in the round. The fairway's really wide and narrows up right where you sort of want to start to land something if you're trying to play aggressive. And I think this is one of the originations of Chase and I's sort of strategy for layups, and that's if you're gonna lay up, you got to lay all the way up. So we don't lay up into the narrowest part of these fairways. We don't lay up, to where we're gonna hit into a bunker and where the water cuts in and the bunkers are on the left. If you want to lay up, you got to be prepared to hit 185 to a 200-yard shot to that green that's tucked back there in the woods. And it's just a really hard hole, really late in a really, really important match. And I think it just gets guys really excited. It makes you feel some things.
I think like I was saying with 15 at Pilgrims too, the par 3, it's like there if you f up that first shot, you're just done. And here like you can, this is what killed me this year or last year's match. Like if you come into this hole needing to win one and then put yourself in a bad spot off the tee, it's just you can't really do much to save it. You got even like the best layup is leaving you, like you said, that 185 shot over water.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
I think this is one of those holes that makes me, and I'm sure Carter aligns with this, makes me really wish that we could play Pilgrim's Run on a non-competitive, non-singles day. Even if it's just a practice round that we all hit a bonus one year or something. I don't know, but just because I've never had a round where I'm playing this hole competitively, for better or worse. I've either lost or won before this hole.
Really?
So I've only had relaxing fun on this hole, whereas I imagine some guys look at this hole like it's their hell. And I think that's a unique situation with where we're at with Pilgrims right now.
Cody had me on the ropes. I had just won 15. I was right back in it. and gaining on him fast, and I hit the best drive of the day way up there. He, was a little ways behind me. I think he might have hit 3-wood and missed the green, and I had 70-yard wedge, 60-yard wedge, and I thought, this is it. Like, I'm gonna win this hole, flip it, and there's gonna be nothing to do. And that poor little 58 dug right in the ground, and my match was over. And I got to play 17 and 18 for fun. The only two holes I've played at that course.
that's my point, really. Like Jay said, this was Tricky's hole. He most recently shot a 5.
6.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Too bad, Trick. Moving on. Hole 15. Diamond Springs 15. We talked about it in the intro. It's the only hole we've ever had to change tees for. It is so good. This is everything you want a short par 4 to be. I think Chase can talk a little bit about the strategy and like what kind of you have to deal with on the layup if you're going to lay up, and then if you're going to go for it, what are the things you got to watch out for when you go for it. But it's one that in year 1 at the Kickstart we had played from the back tees to start the event, and then talking to everybody between rounds, we sort of decided like we don't want to play from back there again. Like everybody has to move up so that you have a chance to go for this, because this shot that you have to hit is just that good. Late in the round, you feel a little bit of the nerves. The holes that are coming up next for the guys that have played it before, and I think it's just such a good hole.
I think this hole to me is like the essence of Diamond Springs on perfect display. And like, I've probably played this course with 10 different people, and every time I play with someone new, I'll make sure to play it from somewhere they can drive the green, just because I think you need that
Yeah.
to like Justin said, to get a sense of it. But I think why it's so great is you can hit that hero shot. But absent that, there's not really an easy second shot. The only kind of way to give yourself an easy second shot is to just hit a fucking perfect first shot. You can like your next best option is kind of laying up on that bottom left picture, kind of in that thickest area of the fairway, as close to the ravine as you're willing to go, because otherwise you're not going to see the green. If you just try and hit like a normal length club to have a short shot in, you have a 5-yard wide strip where you'll be able to see the green. Otherwise, yeah, your ball's doing what Carter's hand's doing, and you're rolling, 60 yards away, completely blind, hitting into the green in the narrowest way possible.
And by the way, it slopes away from you from that angle.
It's for the credit card hole analogy, it's just like an immediate balloon payment. You're just immediately, you either pay it off in the first month or it's like 74%.
Yeah.
This is one of those
predatory
holes
lone hole.
Yeah.
where the layup shot might be harder.
Yes. The
Then
layup shot's harder.
I think so. You have to be like an absolute like psychopath to walk up to that tee 280 from the green and decide, yeah, I'm gonna hit a pitching wedge here, because my goal is to just barely clear the ravine so that I can hit pitching wedge off the tee and then 8-iron into the green so that I can see where I'm going.
You're standing in the end zone and you're going, I need to land this golf ball in or beyond the other end zone, or I got to try to land it on the track. It's like, I might as well just ship it, because if I try to hit, a 6-iron over there, okay, now I got to hit a pitching wedge over this huge hill. I can't see the green, and I might hit it in the ravine anyway.
Yeah.
I might legitimately rather taking the penalty shot and hitting my third from that drop zone, which is about, like I said, if you're not going for it, that drop zone probably is position A. I'd almost be rather hitting 3 from there than be hitting 2 from, the left side of that fairway. Just because then you're putting a really big number into play, trying to get around that ravine.
Yeah, so scary.
I will say 2 years ago, playing with Brendan there, I convinced him to hit the layup shot. And he hit it in that picture on the top, that light brown. He hit it over there. And then the way
I don't know if you guys can
green,
see my cursor.
we
Yeah.
can. The way that green slopes, he couldn't see the green, so I went to the top of the hill and told him the yardage. I gave him 15 yards less than what the yardage was. And he plunks it up there, and it just kabunk, kabunk, kabunk rolls down and gets on the green. And I'm like, oh my God, we are auto winning this hole. There's no way.
I don't know
He
if I've
plays
ever
to his
had,
strengths.
I don't know if I've ever had a good shot on this hole. I don't think I've ever had anything that I like about this hole other than I got to see really cool shit from better golfers on this hole. And I think that's the only appreciation I have for it.
Were
Yeah,
you were with us when PK chipped it in.
Yeah, it ended our match.
unlucky.
I think the first, my hot take is I think the first hole-in-one will be here.
On this hole.
Whoa,
Can we get odds
That-
on?
that would be sick.
I think you'll get it'll kind of be in that back left corner, kind of similar where it is on that top right, the pin similar where it is on those pictures on the right. I think you'll get it there, and if you get one rolling the right way, it'll almost funnel. And I think we could see one. It'd probably be one of the bigger hitters, maybe with like a 3-wood or something that's got some stop to it. But I think you could see a guy do it. I mean, Jay, you had one 2 years ago in our match? You got to 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, I did hit one pretty close in there. I could see definitely Tricky or Dan, like a lefty, playing one like more out to
Cutting
the
back
right
through the
almost
slope.
and cutting
Yeah.
it into the slope. Yeah, I could absolutely see that.
I aim it out over that long bunker.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm not hitting it, that great, that could absolutely be an option. There's more fairway past the green than there is short of it.
I aim
If
at
you're
that
if you're
bunker.
able to, yeah.
Yeah.
I try to hit it over the green.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
chip it back. And if I cut it, it could go in.
You long hitters just
It
taking
never goes
advantage
in.
of people. Preston, I could see. Preston, we would never, ever, ever, ever hear the end of it if he hit one up there and made a hole in one on this hole. The next hole, number 16, is Diamond Springs, number 16.
I had to use that picture.
You can see this photograph right here is from a ball that was lodged in a brush pile that happened to be located right around here at the end of the cart path. That's the type of stuff that can happen if you don't take on the ravine with your tee-ball. Yeah, I think this is when we talk about risk reward, this is, there's not as much reward for the amount of risk that you have to take on just because so many shots are in a row are so difficult. It's challenging from the very start. These bunkers are just so perfectly placed right here on the tee to make you want to play away from them, which means you got to either try to fly one over that bunker and stop it or thread between these. And the closer that you get to the green, sort of the narrower it becomes, the green starts to be on more and more of an angle. It's the longest hole on the course. It's just you have to get up there and you have to hit good shot after good shot if you want to make a good score. And if you want to bail out or lay up, you're just pushing that payment down the road. You're gonna have to get up to the green and hit a really, really good shot eventually if you want to make a par. And to me, that's just this is obviously the hole that I chose, but to me, this is just a perfect golf hole, and it happens at such a perfect time in the round that the consequences, and it makes you feel everything that the Kickstart's about, I think. You guys want to move on?
Oh,
You
Oh.
said I think like you were gonna say
Yeah.
something else.
that was
No, I also picked this hole, and I think kind of like I said with the last hole, it is a. I said the last one was kind of like the essence of Diamond Springs, compressed into one hole, and I think
Mhm.
this is like that taken to its absolute extreme.
Yeah.
Kind of like you were saying, like that overhead view, it looks like a long, narrow, hard five, and I think in effect it plays even more narrow than that. If you're not just having to like dig yourself back into just getting into the hole to give yourself a chance. I mean, this is not one I don't think I've ever seen anyone like legitimately go for it into. I think there's guys
Yeah.
that try to put it up as close as possible, but it's not with the thought of like maybe I can get this on. It's like Jay said, you have to thread that gap between the bunkers and those trees off the tee. Coming in on your layup, like you kind of want to get out to the left just to give yourself an angle, but then you have both bunkers. If you come in up the right, like the green's narrow as hell, and you kind of bring that ravine back in, obviously, and there's just no kind of like with the last hole, you have this giant risk, but your reward is like a eagle putt. Here, you have giant risk on all three shots, and your reward is like a kind of flat, incredibly small, hard to hit green.
Yeah, if you hit an absolutely perfect shot off the tee, you get, you unwrap this present, and inside the box is, okay, here's now an even harder shot if you want to take it on. Or you can play out here to the right, and the little gift that we'll give you is, okay, here's another really, really hard shot that you have to hit. Oh, and by the way, there's a bunker that is like, if you go down there, then you might be lost forever. I think this upside down is down there.
And if you're in that, you get to hit out of this like probably the smallest bunker on the course there
Yeah.
in terms of like area where the ball actually settles because it's so severe on the outside. You're 4 or 5 feet below the green. You can barely see the green because it's like at eye level, and you're just staring at the ravine 15 feet behind the pin, and it's just
Oh,
it's a brutal place to be.
and by the way, it slightly slopes from that bunker
Yeah.
toward the ravine.
I think I've tried to hole out for 7 more times than I've had a birdie putt on this hole.
Yeah. I think my heart is racing just looking at this overhead view, and I want to move on.
Jay, do you remember your most recent score there?
No, probably 6.
It was a 6.
Yeah. It's just and I didn't lose a ball. I didn't have any penalties. I played down the left the entire time, and then the shot is so difficult when you get up to the green that I think I chipped from, just left of this bunker down here, and didn't even try to take on the green. I just chipped to the front down here and chipped up and two putted for my 6, and like let's get the hell out of here.
6 is my win a hole on this hole.
6 is gotta win a hole all the time on this hole.
That chase shot into those sticks is still the funniest
Play it
moment.
from there.
Took a drop.
tried.
You will try.
We told him he could. He wanted to pull it.
Hole 17 is not a lot of 6s made on this one. This is mine's number 11. We haven't done it yet, and I don't know how many guys know about it, but there is another tee box that plays almost 90 degrees across this hole. You can see the very front tee box right here. There's more tees back this way. Can play as far as like 220 yards, maybe. Yeah, almost 230. If you wanted to go to the very back tees from that side. I just think it's a super awesome green. There's sort of like a punch bowl, like funnel on the left that we've had before. There's the big flat area on the top right. And then all the slopes all around the green will kick the ball back down. So you can try to fly one right on top of the flag, or you can kind of air out to the right or a little bit long and sort of watch your ball roll back. And I think that's just a really fun aspect of most of the par threes there at the Mines, but especially this one.
I think it's cool too because it almost encourages that, especially if that pins, especially on the right half of the green towards the front.
Yeah.
Because if you're going right at it and you're 5 yards short, you're going to be 60 feet below it. So it's like it almost encourages you to try and take some of that out by doing something creative. And you can do a lot, and a lot of it will funnel back. But you kind of got to think outside the box a little with that one. I've seen more cool shots on and around that green than maybe any other hole at the Mines.
This is also the ultimate, like, everybody on the trip thinks they should hit like a tour player off the tee, in the sense that, like, no matter where the pin is, they all are pissed if it's not on the tier that the pin is at. And I think it's a little funny as the guy who just wants to hit greens, but it is true. Like, if you hit up on the upper tier and the pin's on the bottom left, you're like trying to figure out what the hell do you do.
Yeah, I think a couple years ago playing this hole with Dan, the pin was in that front left section, and he hit one up there that was, maybe just like a foot or two short of the pin and a little bit left of it, and it spun back down the front of the green there and sort of like boomeranged around the bunker and went all the way down to the bottom, and it looked like such a pure shot from the tee, and then it just gets absolutely ejected when it gets up there. Unlucky.
Chase, do you remember your most recent score on this hole?
I believe it was a 2-for-1.
I don't know if you were dotting, but you did get a 2. I didn't
Who are
check
you
that.
playing
Stuffed
with?
it in there. He stuffed that in there. We needed that.
Playing
We
with
were trying to
Jake,
become hard to kill.
Dan, and
Dan and
who were we
Cody.
playing? Dan and Cody.
Yeah.
I
Chase
think
getting
I
dots.
I think I toilet bowled it around down to like 6 feet. I was the only one to hit the green, and Joey hit it over there on the cart path left of the bunker. And he's just giving me the huff and puff in the cart. I'm like, Joe, we're winning the hole. Like, none of these guys can't chip it anywhere near the hole. There's no way it's gonna happen. Like, we're gonna be fine. Where's
What
our?
do you
Take
get?
me to the finale, J Mac.
We all know this last hole.
How can you guys possibly know what the finale is gonna be?
Because it's the
We
same
couldn't
as how we started the round.
we couldn't leave it off the list. Are you kidding me? It's
Entice.
It's enticed. There's never gonna be another hole. It's the culmination of the Kickstart. Hopefully you're celebrating coming down this and, trying your buddy's driver and having fun on the last hole here of the Kickstart. But you get just this absolutely beautiful view of not only the green but the big open field hill off to the left and the clubhouse, and hopefully two or four or six carts parked there waiting to celebrate whoever's going to win the event. Um, I think it's just another. We have a ton of them on here, but another great short par four.
The new rock wall looks awesome, but
Yeah,
I do wish I would have been able to play it with the El Natural.
yeah. The El Natural. I think we played it with the natural
The
a
first
couple
year.
couple years
First
ago.
year.
I think
Yeah.
This most recent year was the first year of the rock wall.
I think so. Or maybe 2 years ago.
2 years ago, at least.
But you can see it in the Google Earth picture here. Um, this is another picture stolen from Andy Johnson of the Fried Egg, but uh,
We should
Yeah,
have
the
him on the
new
pod.
rock wall looks super good. Cleans it up a lot. This actually looks a lot better on this picture than it did when I remember playing it all natural. Um, but yeah, they've put in some work on it, and obviously, you know, it's a favorite of most people on the trip. I think this one and mine's number one are, in the top five for everybody of golf holes,
Such a
memories,
great,
and
such a great ending hole. Like not just because of, I mean, strategically it is because you can play it so differently, and guys can decide what they want to do. I've had it come up twice where like it was the deciding match in my hole and played it two different ways each
yeah,
time. But also it's just like a great place to end it. It's such a great amphitheater hole. And the guys that are
hmm
finished up can go up kind of like with we were talking about with Diamond Springs 18, except for you're a little bit further away from it here. Kind of
yeah.
get up that hill and watch you can watch the entire hole play out. If the guy's laying up, you can kind of see what they're doing coming all the way up.
Yeah, I have a distinct memory of Cullen and Carter's match a few years ago where, he ripped one way off to the left over here, kind of past this tree that you can see in the overhead, and just thinking, I don't know if he hit it over there on purpose, but that's actually such a good angle to come into the screen, even though he's out of the rough, that, you know, blowing it way over there. If you can't reach the green or you don't feel like you can cover the water or you're not that confident, like you have all the room in the world to hit it over there. Is you're just gonna have, a decent angle, and you're hoping that the guy that you're playing against then at that point doesn't rip one right up onto the center of the green.
Cullen hit a hybrid right about to where that cart path ends.
Yeah.
And I somehow decided the play was going to be to fly a forward between that bunker and the water.
Yeah, there was a bunch of people that laid it up, like somehow laid it
Way
up
up
right
there.
between, yeah, way up there, right between those bunkers and the water. Like, I don't know how, 71 holes into the trip, all of a sudden they found that they're driving it the most accurate with the best distance control of the whole season. But I remember seeing like 4 or 5 balls between those bunkers and the water.
Oh,
It's a fun one when you're out of it and the match is done, and it's a really fun one when the match is still rolling. It is a perfect ending hole. And I
I think
wish
it I think it might be more fun to watch even than it is to play.
a lot
And
of
that's
geeks,
saying a lot because that's a really fun hole.
I would agree.
a lot of
Chase,
geese.
do you remember in our singles match when I flew it in the forest over the green?
I
Yeah,
do
I
remember.
remember hearing it hit.
yeah,
I don't know. Our match was over, and I thought, oh, I'm
yeah.
going for this green. I gotta lean back on this thing and send it. And I mean, I flew it 20 yards into the woods.
Oh yeah.
So what do we
Unlucky.
got? What do we got, Kyle, for a final score here of our 18 holes?
Kyle made a 4 on this hole.
Yeah, most recent was a 4. I believe that was a 1 putt for all you
Hell
counting
yeah.
the putts at home. Ended with an 83, 43 on the front, 40 on the back of our composite course here. Taking the most recent scores from everybody.
Few
Probably
birdies
be
on there, I see.
net.
Impressive stuff.
That'd probably be around a net 70 if we had dot indications.
Potentially. Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Longer pod, but I feel like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I hope people liked it. I can mail
Cullen,
everybody a scorecard memento if they really want one.
Cullen's gonna fucking hate this pod. No way he makes it this long.
It's gonna be like watching the movie for the first time.
No, it's gonna be like a blind man going to the movie theaters. I have no idea what they're talking about, but Sounds nice.
Someone's gonna watch this, and it's gonna be like when you watch the Masters. You're like, whoa, these holes look sweet. I want to play golf.
They look just vaguely familiar. I'm not sure if I've ever played them before, but they
Before
do
we
look familiar.
before we go, I know we've talked about it, and Chase kind of mentioned something around this earlier. Now that we have 4 courses, we've mentioned it. Do you think our current 4 courses line up with the 4 majors in professional golf?
I think, well, which ones do you think that they match up with?
I think the Mines is the US Open.
Okay.
Diamond Springs is the Players.
Not a
Okay.
major.
Hold on. Not a major.
Oh, sorry. What's the other one? The PGA.
Yeah.
And then you get then you get Stoughton Brazier British Open,
Okay.
or sorry, the Open Championship, and then you bring it all together at Pilgrim's Run, and that's your Masters tournament.
It's not
The
It's
lack
not
could fit
bad.
like a glove.
I don't love Diamond as the PGA, but
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think the other ones are so good they probably seem right.
Like the Mines is you got to be down with the brown. The greens are fucked.
Yeah. Just trying to
You-
survive it.
You can hit your ball wherever you want. It's going to end up in the same spot on this hole, anyways.
Do you not think that that Diamond Springs should be the Masters? All cut to one height?
I
Like,
said this originally last year when Carter and I were talking about it. And I think like course wise maybe, but I do agree with him. After we talked about it, I agreed with him because like kind of just the vibe of Pilgrims. Like you drive in down the Magnolia Lane, or the hell that street's called there, coming through the trees, and the course just kind of like appears. Everything's like super lush. They take great care of you. Just so like that part of the vibe.
There's a lot of undulation at Pilgrims.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
a lot
the
hillier, a lot
experience,
hillier than
elevation
Wisconsin.
change
yeah.
for sure. It's got iconic holes.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Nice little echo when you're in there too. Like some of those holes, you're teeing off from a little bit back in the trees, and you have that cool, kind of unique, like up North Michigan echo you get.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the clubhouse that we spend the most time in the pro shop at, too. At
Well, the pro
Pilgrims.
shop is elite.
Everyone comes home with a Pilgrims run something.
I missed out this year, and the previous year I had my shit stolen, so unlucky.
Side note, I wish Diamond Springs Pro Shop had some cooler stuff.
Dude, I know.
I want them to take my money
Do you see
so bad.
Chase's crew neck he's got on?
Yeah, they got a new they had a new line of hats with the Twin Pines in there. I bet you those will sell out next year. We roll through.
I'll be purchasing.
Yeah, we'll have to get after it.
I'll get something.
Kyle
have
might
to
make
get
a
after
road
it.
trip just to get merch.
I no bullshit. I looked on Black Friday just to see if they had anything on their website.
No way.
Swear to God,
Look, they barely have a card reader.
I had to see. Pilgrims did. I had to see if Diamonds did.
Good for Pilgrims. That's, Mike's on his stuff.
They'll take your money whenever you want to give it to them. They'll take it. Diamond
Yeah,
Springs.
they're
All
not
right.
scared.
Let's wrap it up. Your Detroit Red Wings are up 4-0 going into the third. We almost had a goalie fight.
We ain't got to watch that.
Dylan Larkin scored.
Pick a new team, bud.
She is done.
Cash that check.
Yeah.
This
All right,
game's
fellas.
far from over.
All right. Shout out to Alliance Beverage, keeping this thing ad-free. They've been rolling with us over the last couple of years, and we appreciate them always. Chase, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this as much as we thought you might.
Thank you, guys.
If you guys have ideas for future pods, I want you to text those to your Players Association rep. He can forward them over. And we got a new, I don't know if we've sent it out in the group chat yet. We've got, I think, what might be our next. I don't know if that'll be our next pod or a future pod, but we've got another idea floating out there. So hopefully we'll get the next pod out a little quicker than this one came.
Well, and I was just gonna say we're gonna shoot for a pre-Christmas pod,
Yeah, we got to get one more in.
but if we don't bitch at us until after New Year's, Preston, because we won't release one.
Yeah.
Remember, if you have compliments, you can direct those to me. If you have complaints, you can direct them to your Players Association rep, Brett McLaren.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
We can link
Get
his
in the
email.
get in the mailbag because next week or next pod.
Yeah, so we sent that in the group chat already, or you
We did. We
just
have
now
we have
announcing that?
we have four responses, and we're mailing them over. We'll pick some out and we'll do mailbag next pod.
Okay. Respect.
Sweet.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. Well, love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Before we get rolling, Jay, when are we gonna be announcing the next captain?
Yeah, so I think invitations have